Hello and welcome, YouTube fans and friends. I am your humble and gracious host, Bank 60s. The House Ivaring continues to grow. We've advanced quite a few years into the future, a generation or two. It's a bit of a show and tell. Let's continue in the meantime. So, without starting the simulation just yet, I wanted to spend a little bit of time myself in some rediscovery, as well as show and tell and update for you, the viewer. So, primarily I would say, first, I wanted to show the progress for the family and the House Ivaring as we've continued forward in time. You can see here, we've managed to gain control of a pretty wide swath, securing a large realm or at least sphere of influence for our family in its future here in Northern Europe. I wanted to look across the top at the basics for starters. With 2,266 gold, I'm in a very strong position to do almost anything I want to do within reason, at least in my region and within my sphere of influence across the northern British Isles. My prestige at a very nice 5,032, while my piety within the pagan Asatru Norse faith stands at just under 3,000. And then the renown for my dynasty is now close to 2,700. Right now our level of splendor is significant and our family name is on the way to famous. At our command, we have a total of 8,055 high quality soldiers with 13 champions, levies, and standing guard troops, House Carls, Varangian veterans, Bondi light troops, light footmen, a whole lot of good fighting infantry in our military force at a total strength over 8,000 at present. Much of that right now being used on wars in the continent. At present, we are defending against the Hessians in the de jure war for the Duchy of Hesse. Looks like we are winning, for the time being anyway. There's also the war against the tyranny of King Barid. This is being waged by a count. All of this following my takeover of the Earldom of Lunenburg and I believe part of the old Saxon realm here, all in an effort to make a play. The goal is to seize control of the holy site of Paderborn, or Paderthorn. We gain some personal perks with fertility and stewardship. We already control the holy site at Jorvik. Our family does anyway. Jarl Thorin's Signisdottir of Mon, of the Ivaring dynasty, age 39. holds the title over Jorvik. We could gain control here. And then what King Barid has been made aware of in his later years as he has pondered legacy, destiny, the future of not just his house, but say an entire tree of Ivarings as well as a people. And what better way to secure a family future than to secure a people's future? He's been convinced if one family can control 3 of the Norse holy sites, as is the case in game, I would think even from a role-playing perspective, you could spin that up as being quite a case to make for saying whatever it is that you want to say, your family that is, about the way that the Norse faith should be. Which would mean that we would then gain the ability to reform the Asatru faith and modernize it into a similar model to what the Catholic Church has in-game, and place at the head of the organized religion a version of the Asatru Norse Pope, and then very likely after that deal with a serious problem involving Catholics across Northern Europe and in Central Europe. I would probably want at some point, perhaps, to challenge the Afmunsos for land back in the homeland, just in case I end up being overwhelmed by Catholics in Western Europe. So I would say, in any case, it would make sense in terms of a mid to long-term strategy for the family going forward and for our people, for us to begin looking back toward home after we wrap up our interests here in Northern Europe. Point being, there is a hard truth that there will likely be a war in the future between the Norse powers in what I like to call Ireland, Scotland, and Sweden. That's the way that I see things possibly going as we move ahead. My son is King of Scotland, King Valdemar Baridson. He is beautiful, a dynastic kinslayer. Ooh. Interesting. A drunkard, a flexible leader, a brilliant strategist. So highly talented, let's say, and well placed to a degree. Lazy, generous, and vengeful. Fuck, this guy reminds me of myself. Especially the beautiful part. Married to a very different and unique Asatru Norse woman from House Vuovi. with 2 living members, a very minor house. As you might expect, all of the realms within this area are all allied. So, and there are other alliances shared with other minor rulers inside the realms. But it's my character's son, we also have put in place some lower tier lords of the Asatru Norse faith down here in northern Germany. I suppose it's worth going over the situation here in Germany in more detail. We effectively have wars against a vassal and it looks like a neighboring major lord and duchy with their ally against us after we had just declared and finished a holy war, I believe, or it was an invasion into here. And it's going to be important, obviously, for us to win this war. The next thing will be a problem of land ownership. We're going to have, after we win this war, after we win this one, we're going to have too many holdings for a domain limit to put us in control of this area, because after we win this war, we're going to want to take this county, this one right here. We want to take that one. So our army that's on its way here, so this is one of these things, it's kind of like, this is the kind of shit that you hear about in like Indiana Jones and mystic movies and things like that. But just given the strategic discussion we had a moment ago, guess where our army is going to drop some troops off along the way toward taking out the enemy capitals? You bet we're going to go ahead, we're going to make sure that we take this. It's more likely the Frisians have sent an army to the south to join this army here. As a matter of fact, here you see that's exactly what has been done. So the plan here will be a move south, drop troops here, straight at their army first, defeat it handily, siege down as much as possible one or the other of their capitals, split off an army to deal with whatever it is that they try to counter with, keep a sieging force in place, and then pretty much just grind them down from there. The next thing to worry about will be, honestly, holy wars. The Catholics are not going to be happy that I've come down here. In-game, Crusader Kings 3, I think, has an excellent model for what the Catholic society's reaction to a move like I've made here might be. And in my experience, it's a little like poking a beehive. And I expect that not long from now, I could very likely be very, very, very busy with defensive operations all across this part of the continent. Defensive operations in the homeland. We'll see how busy. The good thing is, I have this treasury, which the world can see, and the world knows can afford me damn near any mercenary company I want. All at once, kind of. Enough of them anyway, all at once, to build an army back home, no problem. And at the present time, we only have, you know, a modest amount of gold coming in. I do believe that's going to change. The realm will be, I believe anyway, rejoined upon the death of my character. So yes, King Valdemar of Scotland then becomes, he is currently heir to the Kingdom of Ireland, and he will become the Earl of our home territory. I believe he'll move his family, and the House Ivering will once again be centralized where I am King Barid. So once again, once our son Valdemar becomes our character, we will have hegemony over the northern British Isles and Ireland once again, for Valdemar to continue on as a brilliant strategist with a martial stat of 18. Diplomacy of 11, not bad. My God, a prowess of 22. Golly. How the fuck did I get here? I play that slow, snail's pace, opportunistic type of style, play style. I'm in no I'm in no race against the clock to beat the game. I'm just RPing as time goes by for the most part, and end up with a freaking superhero as king of all the land after his father dies, and the entire Christian world ready to come against him as he seeks greater glory for the Norse faith. There's your story setup for our character when he takes over. Anyway, hopefully it doesn't get spoiled by something. But again, how the hell did I manage this? There was some kind of... He had a brother. Alright, so the next thing I wanted to kind of dive into was, again, the character and the family. So let's go through the House Ivering. We won't go into too much detail. So the first thing that's important to note is that we have our own house, the House Ivering, within inside the Sigurdur dynasty, which we started with, which has 209 living members. All beginning with our first character, Duke Ivar of the Isles, the Inri Sudreyar, back when the very beginning. We zoom out, you can see just how huge his family tree now is. Overall, it's obvious that so far, anyway, the biggest branch has been the one stewarded by us, with Duke Barid here being the character that you last encountered, you the viewer. Duke Barid the Cruel of the Isles. That's what he turned out to be. He, as you might recall from the last video, was ridden with gout. That's what killed him. 25 February, 9/12 at the age of 54, as I mentioned. You'll remember little Taike, who became the first king of Ireland after a pretty tumultuous early rule as the Jarl of the Inre Suðeyjar. He was a very good ruler too at the end of the day, but not so skilled in the military arts. I don't quite remember specifically, but I think we had to be pretty shifty and clever in order to get by through the time with King Taike. And we managed to take advantage of enough opportunities to seize the entire kingdom of Ireland. And then here we are, our character King Barid, the eldest son of King Taike. Another famous member of our dynasty is the Queen of Norway, Nordager, Queen Freydis the Fair, age 51 now. She has formed her own house. You can see here a number of characters to carry that house on. Quite a few children. Wow. In the current generation, or the next, there are quite a few rulers in House Ivaring. We have young Chieftain Hrofdulfur in Ireland in Dyflin. Jarl Thorin, we saw her earlier, of Mon. Chiefess Thuridir in Argyll, in the homeland. Earl Barid II, the disgraceful of Cumberland, back in the British Isles. Jarl Arthvis Thorinson of Lothian. Chieftain Holmgeir in Teviotdale. Jarl Gudmundur in Ulster, Northern Ireland. Jarl Horder of Galway in, I believe this is also Northern British Isles. I think there are a couple of other important things that stand out to me in the strategic perspective as well. And it's really interesting from someone who comes at this alternate history scenario knowing a little bit about the way that it really was in actual history, is maybe the stiffest resistance from Catholics that we stand to face based on the way that you look at the map in its present state, which is to look at it by kingdom boundaries. So the centers of military power and their spheres of influence and the land boundaries that they extend to are, within most of Europe's Catholic realms, quite medium to small. Europe's traditional Catholic realms. Other than Francia, of course, but right now, as you can see, it's flashing down there. And in a considerable level of internal tumult, the Empire of Francia and the Emperor himself currently in a civil war as the would-be King Audrey the Hunchback of Aquitaine tries to break away and form that historic realm again in southern France. Of course, we're all for that. I would say that truly there are really only one or two other fearsome Catholic realms: Italy, Bavaria, you could call Poland one. However, the most fearsome potential enemy at the end of the day may ultimately be for us here. The Afmunso dynasty of Ragnar himself has converted, or its leadership anyway, to the Catholic faith. No. They've spread it quickly all throughout Scandinavia. There are Asatru holdouts many under the sway of the Queen in Nordiger, who, by the way, with the strength of their allies included, you're talking 10,000 or so troops against more than that. We would have them outmanned in a war. head to head. And we could bring in mercenaries, maybe, if we had money by that time, depending on how much money we were spending on mercenaries to defend against the Catholics here. If knowledge of our money by the AI, and also I didn't mention Lotharingia. It's still here, Lotharingia, fairly strong. But if most or all of these Catholic lords in Europe rise against me here, I'm pretty confident I'll be able to hold, no problem. And the longer we can try and work toward a divided Francia, the better. Whatever ways we might be able to achieve that or help achieve it. Prime among them, most likely anyway, that I know of, and there may be some other ways in the game to discover how to do this, but is to send money. Although, oh, okay. He's about ready to win this thing. Wow. Okay, so maybe we don't really need to worry about doing nothing. Now, they will both still be Catholic. So, there is that. And if the Pope calls for a crusade up here, you can bet that is where we will be expending the bulk of our time. Now, the other area that was just worth a little bit of examination further was, I would say, I love the colors. It does justice to kind of like the burnt ash that is left of central and southern England, which what the game does so interestingly is model how the Viking, the raiding economy depends a lot on loot and crap that you go get and bring back home. So we have, and so the lovely gold, yellow, and green kind of like is a signification of how lovely and enriched and just better things are up here right now after about honestly probably the last 70 to 80 years or so of nothing but unchecked raiding and warring and plundering and domination for these these leftover petty kingdoms largely down here have, in the last 20 to 30 years, as the next generations have begun to take over command and control, have split and warred with each other over centralizing as much control as possible, and they managed to get back under a petty kingdom like this, Mercia, which is not, they actually pose a slight threat here to our southern flank, if anybody did. But as you can see, they're at war with Wessex right now, very much in turmoil, while there is peace, stability, security, and more opportunity for prosperity in the northern part under the tribal rule, let's say, right? If you could call it prosperity. These folks just kind of get to live the way they want. They got a real strong king up here. The tribal leaders out in the lands and all the things, it's probably not great for the low folk, but whatever. There's, they don't have anybody coming from far away that they don't know at all coming and you know, doomsday in their ass. So there's that. And then I wanted to just do, I wanted to pay respect to, honestly, I always do this. And it's why I play the games the way that I do. I always want to peel all the layers of the onion back. I want to pay respect to the developers of every aspect of the game that I can show. And part of that is showing the complexity of the simulation and the hugeness, the scale of it. To just do a brief kind of review of the way that our world looks here in this alternate history timeline in the world of the House Ivaring, well beyond Europe. Here in 978 AD, you can see as we move further inland toward Russia, you have the Tsardom of Khazaria, Khuzarism, an unreformed Jewish faith that we consider hostile, not evil, but hostile. Wow. And a Russo-Khazar culture. Wow, look at these folks. Ah, here we are. Wow. Huh. That motherfucker controls all that. From down here. Wow. Wow. That's something, man. Bulanid Dynasty. With 74 living members. Look at that. The character creator, the programmers came up with all this. This is just the best, man. This game is insane. This whole Russo-Khazar culture, all Jewish, here in Russia. Wow, what a thing. You have the traditional and historic Byzantine Empire. Looks like they're still rocking and rolling here. Orthodox Greek. Ooh, Basilius Leon the Eighth. He's not looking so good for now. He's got some young kids, though. I don't know if they elect leadership there. Now, what's interesting, though, still, is you have these Khazarites in southern Russia here. This is obviously the frontier of their land. They've managed to put a little bit of a settlement along a river here. But they're dealing with some Asatrus up here, it looks like. Interesting. perhaps we'll see if we can reform the faith, perhaps we'll see a Norse lord at the helm over in Russia down the line. That could be interesting. I would say the Byzantines aren't going anywhere anytime soon. There are probably going to be some civil wars, but welcome to the Byzantine Empire. And then again, I don't know, some great people are going to rise to the top in Europe, here and there. We don't know where. We can only hope, really, that they are in Italy or Southeast Europe and not in Germany at all. That's basically kind of like what we got to go with. Otherwise, I would say for the short and near term, midterm, our military might and our money is likely to keep us safe, as well as the division in Francia, the division in Leon, the turmoil in southern England, the confusion and division across Central Europe, the small Catholic realms overall that would have to try and put their heads together under a pope to crusade against me. I think we could hold out. I think we could hold the line in Germany 15 years, maybe 20. And then maybe we'd have to rethink and take another look. But I'll tell you what, folks, that's really all I wanted to come in and do. I really just wanted for myself, for you, the viewer, to just take a new, fresh look at the world of the House Ivaring in 978 AD as we look forward to playing the simulation out from here, including all, of course, of the interplay, role play, intrigue, war, strategy, diplomacy, inter-character dynamics, and all the rest that are included here in Paradox Interactive's great game, Crusader Kings 3. I certainly highly recommend that you stay tuned. If you enjoyed this content, please do click that thumbs up button for me. It helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps this great game. Also, subscribe to my channel, Alternate History Gaming. And hit that notification bell to find out the next time I drop a video for you. Until then, I'm Bank60s.